Alright, this is Sonic Advance 1, ran by me, KirbyMastah, and I can run all 4 characters with this, but Knuckles wins, so I'll be running this game with Knuckles. So I guess I'll give a countdown. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. So this is Sonic Advance, the first Sonic game on the Game Boy Advance. It plays pretty similarly to the Genesis games, where you pretty much stop and spin mash a lot, and go fast, and just abuse physics. So there's a trick right there I could have gone for, to glide across the entire stage, but I missed it, so I'm just going to have to take the lower route here. So you see me glide. Knuckles' ability in this game is to glide, and it's really useful because not only does it give you some aerial mobility, but whenever you land from a glide, he always comes to a complete stop, so you can spin dash immediately. Which is the case in the Genesis games as well, where if you land from a glide, you're always coming at a complete stop. Because if you're moving even slightly and you try to press down to spin dash, you'll roll instead. So another ability Knuckles has is to punch, which is really useful in this game for 2 reasons. One, it brings you to a complete stop when you're running on ground, so I can start spin dashing immediately again. And another reason is if I use it off a ledge, it increases my speed and then brings me to complete stop. But if I use it off a ledge, then Knuckles will not come to complete stop, which I'll be using soon. There's an invisible spring in this bush, and I skip jumped over right there. Then I'll punch off this ledge to gain some extra speed, and then this is the first boss. Pretty easy. Or I can make a mistake. Whoops. Alright. That could have gone better, but oh well. The spin dashing mechanics are pretty simple in this game. In the Genesis games, you ideally want to do 6 tap dashes and then release the revs or frame after your last tap. In this game, all you have to do is really lenient. All you have to do is press the A button twice while holding down, and then you get pretty much the best speed you can get for a human. So I skipped a few pulleys there, and then I'm gonna go for a really fun trick here. I'm gonna go for this twice. So now I'm out of bounds because the game thinks I'm on the right side of that loop I just spin dash across. So now this game is going crazy, and I just died because I was at the wrong height there. Whoops! So getting the perfect height to glide all the way across the stage here is really tight. I'm gonna go for this one more time, and if I don't get it, I'll just take the inbounds route. Ah. Oh well. I'm just gonna stay inbounds then.
Pretty common theme with some of the tricks in this run is that you will be tricking the game with what plane you're on, and they'll to go out of bounds and do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, so how that pass out of bounds works is that there's a lot of invisible path swappers in Sonic games, which is how the game determines which side of loops you are on and such. And by crouching and scrolling the screen down, you manipulate the game's path swapper and skip it. So if you scroll the screen down and then you move forward past the trigger without scrolling the screen back up, then the game thinks you're on the opposite side of the trigger. So this level also has a pretty difficult trick here. I'm going to go for it once, and if I miss it, I'll just take the inbounds route. It's much easier with Tails, but we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to do the same thing here by crouching, scroll the screen down, then the game thinks I'm on the left side of that loop, so now this is no longer solid. And I'm going to glide through this level here. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to take this very safe and pause buffer this. Ah! Dang it. I moved too far forward, so I missed the item box. So it's okay. So the 2 out of bounds that I tried to go for, they don't really save that much time, so it's not really a big deal to just use the inbounds route instead.
About how much time do they save?
A few seconds each. So it's not really a big deal. But I take damage here intentionally so I can abuse invincibility frames, stay inside Eggman, and hit him before my invincibility frames run out. So the next zone is called Casino Paradise, and most Sonic 2D Sonic games have a really obnoxious casino-themed level, and this is no exception. There's a bunch of moving objects everywhere that, if you make a single mistake, it's really easy to just have everything go out of control and go horribly wrong. So Sonic Advance community goes by in-game time because of the time bonus. The faster you go in a stage, the longer you have to wait at the end for the time bonus. So we just go by in-game time. And the reason I bring this up is because you can manipulate cycles in this game by waiting at the start where there's no in-game timer going. Oh, that's not good.
It's pretty common in 2D Sonic games to do that, period. The Genesis ones have the same issue. The biggest culprit is actually the Sega Master System ones, which are also the Game Gear ones, have horrendous times from just straight up the time bonus. On the Master System ones, it would actually be, if you were going for real time, it would be faster to sit in front of the goal for a certain amount of time and then touch it than it would be to actually just go straight to it.
One example is Secret Base 1 in this game, where a really good time is a sub 40-second time, where you get 80,000 points from the time bonus. But if you want to go for real time, you're better off waiting until you hit 40 seconds, where you get only 50,000 points from the time bonus. There's more annoying moving objects here. Fortunately, the cycles line up nicely if you just start immediately, so... So I'm gonna grab some speed shoes here. Speed shoes are really useful in this game. They dramatically increase your acceleration in the air, and you just go way faster in general. So, and one example is right here, where I gain a lot of speed by falling down from a high height there. So this boss, there's basically a moving spike ball and Eggman moving around these pipes randomly. And it's really awkward because I still have speed shoes to upgrade. So, oh, that's your rings. Okay. So I hit him 4 times. I need to hit him 4 more times. Ah, 1 more hit. Oh, there we go.
So again, since this is normally run with in-game time and not real time, the pause buffering actually really doesn't influence the time at all.
So the next zone is Ice Mountain. It's kind of the water zone in the game, but you don't really enter water. Ideally, you only enter water once, and you don't even move that slowly. Because you had speed shoes at the time, so... Alright. So I'm gonna go for a slope jump here. Slope jump is a term where if you jump while running uphill, you lose a bit of horizontal speed, but you gain a lot of vertical height. And you get the opposite effect if you do a downhill slope jump, where you don't really gain much vertical height, but you gain a lot of horizontal speed. So I'm gonna do another slope jump here to gain some extra height to reach the spring. So there's a lot of minor optimizations to get extra speed or gain the height I need for certain shortcuts by using slope jumps. Alright. And that's that level. That was a really good level. Sub 55 is a pretty solid time. So there's a loop I'm gonna glide over here. This is kind of a nice shortcut here. That spring right there is huge to hit. You do not want to hit that spring or else you fall to the bottom path and you lose a lot of time.
Ice stages in Sonic games always have the best music.
They do. Oh, that's not good. Oh, thank goodness Knuckles can float on water. Otherwise, I would have died. So something introduced in this game is the ability for Knuckles to float on the surface of water, which is not in past Sonic games. It's a really nice ability, especially with this boss coming up. Because Knuckles doesn't have a way to gain extra height without an extra wall. And I can't. And this boss, the idea behind this boss is that you have to wait for this boss to drop down a lot of icicles, and you have to use them as platforms. But once you reach the surface, I can just float on the surface, hit Eggman, and keep floating on the surface. So this ability comes in really handy in this boss. This boss is pretty much a complete train wreck with Sonic, because Sonic cannot float on water, and he doesn't have anything to hit the boss from the bottom like Tails and Amy do. So that was a good boss. Right, so the next zone is called Angel Island. I don't know if it's exactly the same Angel Island as in Sonic 3 or not, but it's called Angel Island. And this Angel Island one is the most broken stage in the game. We don't like walls, so Knuckles is just gonna kind of say, screw you to this loop, and say goodbye to the stage. That's a bit early. This probably should be fine. So that was another pass swap where I abused, where I scrolled the screen down, punched to the left without scrolling the screen back up, and then the game thought I was on the right. Oh, I'm dead. The game thought I was on the right side of the loop, and now this level is completely broken. Well, this level is completely broken. So in that case, I was too high and I started gliding too early. That should be fine. So the timing of your glides are very picky. Like if you start gliding even like a quarter of a second later, then that changes your height a lot. So my goal here is to hit a checkpoint and then kill myself. The reason behind this is by killing myself, that resets all the room layers, and now the game thinks I'm back in bounds.
The checkpoint is on all the layers at once, so...
And I can glide straight to the goalpost, but the problem is, once I hit the goalpost, I stop gliding and I fall down and die, even during this cutscene right here, and that does not count as clearing the stage. So... Ironically, the strat for doing this in actual game is faster than Time Attack because you can't respawn on checkpoints with Time Attack. So here's a really nice shortcut that skips a ton of platforming and saves like 30 seconds or something. A lot of time. Oh, don't die. Thank you. That chameleon's tongue has a huge hitbox. I don't know how. Like, I've seen him farther away from that and then actually hit me from halfway across that platform. It's a bit ridiculous. This game is just weird. Oh, Alright. There we go. Alright. And there's a bunch of invisible springs there for some reason. So this boss coming up, you fight two fake Knuckles. I don't know why. Eggman thought it's a good idea. There's a pink Knuckles. He has 3 patterns. Gliding pattern, which is the worst pattern. And he has a pattern where he just stands there. And he has a pattern where he spin dashes, which is the best pattern. Blue Knuckles can spin dash, or glide, or fire a missile, which is the worst pattern. And he only does that if you're too far, though. So that was not very good luck in general. I lost a good chunk of time from that, but there isn't really anything you can do about it. So, alright. Given that I've died like 4 times already in this game, there's a really big trick coming up, and I'm only gonna give it two tries. So this stage is the longest stage in the game, where it consists of climbing up this huge rocket, which has 3 timed segments. And normally, it takes around 2.5 minutes. And I'm going to abuse a trick called a super glide, where if I start gliding just before hitting an object, my vertical downward momentum transfers into upward momentum, and I gain a lot of height from that. So there's an out of bounds here I'm going to try to go for. Sometimes it doesn't like to cooperate. It's basically random whether you can get it to work or not. And that's not high enough. Alright, so I'm gonna give this one more try. This is the hardest trick in the game. It looks really cool and saves around 30 to 40 seconds of in-game time. But it's really difficult and risky, as you can tell. And if I mess it up one more time, then I'm just gonna have to opt out of using this trick.
So by trying to clip in there, you're using like subpixels and stuff to try to do that.
Yeah,
Right?
it's basically subpixel alignment. And whether that works or not, it's basically random as far as I can tell. Like one time I set a save state here, waited a second, I got it, and I loaded that save state, I waited like 2 seconds, I didn't get it. So it's literally random. That should be good. There we go. I missed that again. Oh, I survived. But that item box is gone, so I can't go for that trick anymore anyway, so I'm just gonna have to do the stage inbounds now.
Have you ever survived that fall like that before?
I have, actually. But yeah.
Alright. So when he was referring to subpixels earlier, subpixels are exactly what they sound like. They're units of measurement that are smaller than pixels that the game uses to determine Knuckles' speed in this case at a more precise level than what pixels can actually determine. The problem is that since you can't see them, they are almost impossible to actually line up sometimes.
Alright. This is the route that you would take if you didn't use this trick, so. Fortunately, there's a cool few inbounds things I can do with Knuckles to save some time. So, there's Super Glide I'm going to do off of this invisibility box to skip a chunk of the level and take the speed shoes faster. Oops. So if I succeeded in the out of bounds trick I was going for, I would end it here. There's no way for Knuckles to skip the next segment of the stage. Tails, on the other hand, can skip this entire stage because a similar trick he can use called a super fly, you only have to do it twice and you can reach the very top, and you gain a lot more height than Knuckles can with that. So what I'm trying to do there is I'm trying to use a Knuckles punch just before a boost pad, so I skip him coming to a complete stop. And that actually speeds you up if you time it right. So there's another shortcut I'm going to go for here. It skips another gravity section. It's kind of precise. There we go. Got it. And there's another shortcut here to skip the left side of this rocket here. Saves several seconds. Use a slope jump there to skip a few platforms.
It's a pretty common thing in any Sonic game for spin dashes and slopes to generally cause weird things to happen with vertical height.
Yeah. Alright, so that's Egg Rocket right there. And I still cleared it kind of quickly. For the inbounds route, that was pretty decent for the most part. Not amazing. But hey, like, it's kind of the hardest trick in the game, so oh well. Alright, so this next level is, for some reason, it's the same zone, but has a different zone name called Cosmic Angel. And this has a lot more upside-down sections, because every 2D Sonic game has to have a gravity level. I'm gonna glide through this section here, fall down here. So the boss coming up has kind of a weird gimmick, where you have to flip Eggman over by pretty much landing on the chain near him with enough momentum. So what you want to do is jump high and land near him to flip him over and then hit him. You can't flip him over too quickly after each time you flip him over, so you have to wait a bit. And you can't flip him over near the walls either. Oh, I just missed that. Okay. So a lot of people really don't like this boss, but if you don't mess up the starting strat, it's not really too bad. Which I did, but oh well. So that's why I'm kind of waiting in between hits. Otherwise I would not be able to flip him over. Wow, I can't believe I dodged that. Okay. One more hit. I'm gonna get hit on purpose. There we go. So the next level is the last level in the game called X Zone. It's kind of a mini boss rush where you fight 3 bosses in the game. The first boss is the first boss from Sonic 1, and the second boss is the first boss from Sonic 2. And the third boss is a boss unique to this game that should not exist. To be put plain and simple. Oh, frick. Missed that. So the ideal strategy is to bounce on Eggman 4 times, but I didn't get the proper momentum to do that, so I had to improvise a bit. This is Sonic 2 boss. Sonic 2 boss music. And that was perfect. You have to time your roll correctly. If you roll too fast, you'll hit this drill. If you roll too slowly, you won't keep up with Eggman to hit him repeatedly. So this boss... I have no comments about this. Okay, I do have comments. This boss sucks. So he has 4 different attacks he can do. A hand, a ball, a beam, or going to the other side. And how long it takes for him to show up to attack when he becomes vulnerable is random. Which attack he does is random as well. And if he goes to the left side, that is disastrous, like that. Because my single ring goes left. So it's really hard. It's harder for me to keep tanking hits. That's not good. Ah, I died. That's why I take the checkpoint, because this boss is pretty much just completely luck. And if he goes to the left side, it's really hard to like survive and beat him reliably. So. The hand is the best pattern because you can hit him like this so repeatedly. And that's time. I forgot to warn you about time, but yeah, that's it. Considering how often I died, that's pretty good. So, that's Sonic Advance 1 with Knuckles. Yep. Any donations or anything?
Let's go ahead and get set up for the next game.
Alright, I'm set up.